How about my Knicks? A gritty, gutty win. Game two of the Eastern Conference semifinals, 130 to 121 over the Indiana Pacers. First off, I'm thrilled that Reggie Miller trick didn't work. Where all of a sudden the NBA on TNT puts Reggie Miller, who's the big name in the history of that rivalry, along with Patrick Ewing. They drop Reggie into the broadcast. They move him from the Western Conference over there for what again? Ratings? They put Reggie in the game, Reggie Miller on the broadcast. Couldn't believe that. That's like putting Troy Aikman into the NFC Championship game when he's not calling the game for the Cowboys. You don't do that. But the Knicks have been getting the calls in that series, and a lot went up against the Knicks in game two. Brunson got hurt. He had a foot injury. He goes to the locker room, is gone for a while. Took a long time for the NBA team to tell us and give us an update on that injury. The longer that went, the more nervous I was that Brunson could have a serious injury. Then Brunson comes out, a Willis Reed moment, not as big as Willis Reed, the captain, the two-time champ coming out of the tunnel to lead the Knicks to a championship, but a big moment, not as big as Mark Messier guaranteeing game 6 against the Devils and going on to win the cup, but a big moment for Brunson in front of the Knicks fans when it looked like the Knicks were about to get boat raced and maybe would lose that game, and Brunson comes out and is spectacular in the second half. So Brunson's line, 32 minutes. He usually plays well over 40. He had 29 points in that game, but Anunoby was unbelievable for the Knicks. Where would the Knicks be without Anunoby coming in as an offensive rebounder, a scorer? He had a great game. He only played 27 minutes because he hurt his hamstring at the end of the game. I mean, how the hell did the Knicks close out and win that game without Anunoby down the stretch? He was 10 of 19 from the field and 4 of 7 from 3. I thought he was great. That was his defining moment as a Knick, and hopefully he has a long career with the Knicks. Remember, the Knicks are playing without Julius Randle, arguably their best player, but no longer. Brunson's the best player on the Knicks, and I think Anunoby's better than Julius Randle because I don't think Julius Randle is a disciplined player. He takes a lot of bad shots. Certain nights he could have a big game. But the key was DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo played 43 minutes, was 10 of 20 from the field for 28 points. So now this start from Villanova, I'll get to Josh Hart in a second, he's able to eat up that many minutes. DiVincenzo was supposed to be a role player at best. This was his coming out at the Garden. He's had other big shots in big games, but this is the deepest the Knicks have been at home in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference semis, and DiVincenzo step up and has a monster game. But I want to give all the credit again to Josh Hart. Plays the entire game, 48 minutes, 28 points, 8 of 12. The guy grabs every offensive rebound he can get his hands on. He blocks shots. He takes off. Stan Van Gundy on the broadcast told everybody he might be the best in the league other than Giannis Antetokounmpo and LeBron going coast to coast. And when he goes coast to coast, he is a freight train and he goes to the front of the rim. It was incredible. Another big point I want to make on Indiana. When I look at their big three, Siakam went 0 of 5 from 3. Turner, 0 for 3. And Halliburton went 1 of 3. They missed a lot of threes. When bigs take threes and miss, like Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, something, if you hear me on the radio, I preach this all the time. 6'11" guys shouldn't be taking threes. A lot of the reasons why the Knicks are winning going through Philadelphia and especially Indiana is the bigs on those teams fall in love with shooting threes. And when they miss, that's a missed possession for that team. And the Knicks get the rebound and they go the other way and score. I'm telling everybody, and hopefully if the Knicks advance, they haven't yet, and they take on the Celtics because Cleveland's got no shot in that series. Hopefully the Celtics take a lot of threes. If Porzingis comes back, let Tatum shoot all the threes he wants. When other teams shoot threes, they get the Knicks back into the game. Also, conversely, when the Knicks have a lead, I don't like when they shoot threes because if they start missing them, the other team gets back in the game. But what happened for the Knicks against Indiana, they finally did something that I wanted to see them do. They had a lead down the stretch in the game, and they put the game away. They didn't choke the lead. When they were up late in this game, they put the game away. Normally, the Knicks have a big turnover late. They'll kick the ball out of bounds. They'll let the other team have a layup and one. They'll foul a three-point shooter, give them 3 free throws. The Knicks finally closed out that game with Anunoby out of the game. Brunson not at 100%. DiVincenzo and Hart were spectacular. Hartenstein played great, got a lot of rebounds when the Knicks needed it. And the Knicks won a game where Indiana looked like they were going to win when Brunson left the game. If you would have told me before the game that Brunson would only play 32 minutes and Anunoby would only play 27, I would have told you that probably the Indiana Pacers win in a blowout and the Knicks took two of their best players out of the game because the game was out of reach. The Garden was rocking. The fans were into it. The celebrities were there courtside. And Rick Carlisle got thrown out of the game late. I thought that was a good move by him. He's a championship player and a coach. He's won multiple championship player and coach. And I thought it was real smart for him to get thrown out of the game. If Indiana's going to have any shot left in this series, they got to win the refs over. The Knicks have been getting breaks with the officiating, no debate. Rick Carlisle got thrown out of that game, sending a message to the refs. When we go back to Indiana, we better get some calls. And they're going to get some calls. And now the Knicks, all they need to do is get a split in Indiana the way they got a split in Philadelphia. You see, when a team goes down 0-2, even if they're on the road or they have home court, you got to win 4 out of 5 to win the series. I don't think Indiana is capable of winning 4 out of 5. And I'm going to give Denver a little bit of credit. Denver could possibly win 4 out of 5 because they're the reigning champs, but it doesn't look good for them. So I want to again congratulate the Knicks and all the diehard Knicks fans like myself who have been waiting 30 years for something good to happen. We're not talking waiting 3 years or 13 years, 20 plus years. Our Knicks fans have had their hearts broken, especially at the Garden. But I thought that was a pivotal moment. We had a couple of dramatic instances in that game where the Knicks were able to come through. It happened when Brunson went to the locker room with soreness in his foot and came out. So he got treatment. The Knicks trainers checked him out. They weren't going to jeopardize his career or the series. If he couldn't play, they weren't going to let him play in the third quarter. And Anunoby pulled up lame as he was going to the rim, and I hope that isn't serious. We'll find out later on in the week here if he could go. Knicks can't win without Anunoby. I'll just say that now. They can't. They can win without Julius Randle in this round. They cannot win without Anunoby in there rebounding the basketball, running the fast break. It's going to be really important to see what happens to that injury there. But I'll tell you, NBA on TNT put Reggie Miller in the building to try to get the crowd going, to get people more interested in the game. You don't have to get more interested in a game at the Garden. Everybody in New York's interested in the game. So the Knicks fans are back. They're ready to roll. I'm a Knicks fan, got a 2-0 lead, and we got to find a way to close out Indiana because their bigs, Turner and Siakam and Halliburton, are good. What happens if Indiana gets another star player? Imagine if they picked up a guy like Damian Lillard instead of him going to Milwaukee. Imagine if they were able to get another scorer from around the league, an outside shooter to go with their threes. As much as everybody loves Oklahoma City and the Wolves with Anthony Edwards, I get that. Man, Indiana needs one more shooter on the outside. I'm talking about a legit former all-star to come in there. And Indiana is going to be good for a while. Siakam is a beast. The undermanned Knicks, who don't really have much of a bench, went up against Indiana. This was a heavyweight fight, and the Knicks have a 2-0 lead. Let's not give an easy one back. Take care of business on the road. Game 3 isn't necessary, but winning game 3 or 4 could put this series away, and the Knicks are going to need rest because the vaunted Celtics are waiting next. JT the Brick, find me on YouTube, as you know, JT the Brick YT on X, at JT the Brick, and more of these rants always coming up.